4 stories, OpenAI copies Anthropic, Akamai pops 27%, Mythos was hype, Nvidia cracks. Here is the map for the next 10 minutes. Sam Altman just shipped a cyber model with the exact restricted access playbook he criticized Anthropic for. Anthropic also signed a $1.8 billion cloud deal with Akamai that sent the stock up 27%. Cybersecurity experts publicly called the Mythos panic, quote, hysteria. And Amazon's Trainium chip business just crossed a $20 billion run rate, putting the first real crack in Nvidia's grip. 4 stories, 1 thread. Story 1. OpenAI just shipped GPT 5.5 Cyber yesterday. Limited preview to vetted cybersecurity teams, trained for permissive security tasks, vulnerability identification, patch validation, malware analysis, the same access shape Anthropic used for Mythos a month ago. CNBC broke it on May 7th. Read the headline directly. OpenAI rolls out new GPT 5.5 Cyber to vetted cybersecurity teams. The framing is identical to the framing Anthropic used for Mythos: restricted access, coalition partner program, vetted teams only. And here is the irony. A month ago, when Anthropic announced Mythos with restricted access, Sam Altman publicly called the approach fear-based marketing. Today, OpenAI is shipping the exact same playbook, same restrictions, same vetted teams, same security framing. The only thing different is the brand name on the model. And the capability question. Per Axios, sources familiar with GPT 5.5 Cyber's abilities said it is, quote, roughly on par with Mythos, end quote. The 2 leading frontier labs now both ship restricted access offensive security models. The vetting process is now the gating step for production access. Buyers pick a coalition. The takeaway for security teams: cyber AI is no longer a single vendor story. As of today, both OpenAI and Anthropic ship restricted access frontier models tuned for offensive and defensive security work. If your security operations center has not been admitted to either coalition yet, you are now operating with a 1 to 2 month delay against teams that are. The vetting process is the new procurement bottleneck. Story 2. Anthropic just signed a $1.8 billion 7-year compute deal with Akamai Technologies. Bloomberg confirmed it today. The largest deal in Akamai's history. The stock closed up 27% on Friday on the combined deal plus earnings beat. Bloomberg's framing matters. Akamai's earnings release named only, quote, a leading frontier model provider. Anthropic was not in the press release. Bloomberg sourcing nailed the customer name. That is a deliberate disclosure choice. Akamai wants the dollar value in its number. Anthropic wants the supplier list off its public S1 until the bankers say it is time. $1.8 billion over 7 years, the largest deal in Akamai's history. Akamai is not historically a frontier AI cloud provider. The company built its business on edge delivery and content acceleration. Anthropic adding Akamai to the supplier list is the diversification signal. The frontier lab compute roster is no longer just the big 3 hyperscalers. 27% in one trading session. Akamai closed at $148.38. Analysts called the deal, quote, transformative, end quote. Projected double-digit revenue growth into 2027. The market just re-rated Akamai from a slow-growth content delivery network into a frontier AI infrastructure proxy. And the running total nobody is keeping: $200 billion to Google over 5 years, $100 billion to AWS over 10 years, now $1.8 billion to Akamai over 7 years. Anthropic's total publicly disclosed compute commitments are now more than $300 billion, against roughly $19 billion in annualized revenue. The unit economics keep getting more uncomfortable. Story 3. CNBC published an extended report today. The headline is unusually direct. Anthropic's Mythos set off a cybersecurity hysteria. Experts say the threat was already here. The reframe matters. Read it carefully. Ben Harris, the CEO of cybersecurity firm WatchTowr, told CNBC his recent conversations with banks, insurers, and regulators amount to, quote, hysteria, end quote. Harris said his teams have already reproduced parts of Mythos's findings using clever orchestration of publicly available models. Same results, no restricted access required. Claudia Klock, CEO of Vidoc Security Lab, doubled down. The capability to find 0 days at scale has existed for, quote, a couple of months if not a year, end quote. Vidoc was the firm that publicly reproduced Mythos-style findings on April 22nd. The reframe is now official, and the actual differentiator, per the experts. What Mythos actually changes is not raw capability, it is automation. The pipeline, the end-to-end end-to-end zero-day discovery campaign. Public models can do the underlying detection. Mythos packages it. The gating story now looks weaker. The White House blocked Anthropic from expanding Mythos to 70 more entities. But the offensive capability is already in the wild via public models. Defenders need orchestration, not access. What to watch? Whether watchTowr, Vidoc, or another independent firm publishes a public reproducibility benchmark, a numerical comparison of Mythos versus an orchestrated public model pipeline against the same target set. The first published benchmark resets the policy conversation overnight. If the public stack hits 80% of Mythos's results, the case for gated access collapses. Story 4. Pull back to the chips. The Motley Fool published an analysis today titled, quote, "The evidence is piling up. Nvidia's AI chip dominance may be about to come to an end," end quote. The piece compiles disclosures into a single uncomfortable picture for Nvidia. Read the headline, direct, unhedged. The evidence is piling up. Nvidia's AI chip dominance may be about to come to an end. The publication is not known for hot takes. The piece is data-driven, citing earnings calls, customer disclosures, and capacity reports. Specifically, it points at Amazon's Trainium business, $20 billion plus. Annualized run rate, 40% sequential growth in Q1 2026. That is not a side project. That is the fastest growing, meaningful semiconductor business in the world right now. And every dollar of that growth comes out of the budget they used to ship to Nvidia. And Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon, publicly disclosed that the Trainium order book is now $225 billion. The anchor customer is driving that book. Anthropic with up to 5 gigawatts of committed Trainium capacity. OpenAI with approximately 2 gigawatts. Apple is reportedly also on the list. Read the names, those are the same labs locking in compute everywhere else. And the customer disclosed metric across the AWS Trainium 3 install base. 50% lower training and inference cost compared to GPU alternatives. That is not workload specific, it is structural. Once a hyperscaler can offer half-price training to anchor frontier customers, every Nvidia margin assumption gets re-evaluated. Nvidia still holds approximately 90% of the AI accelerator market overall. Research firm Kearney projects that share will drop to 70% by 2030. As AMD, Intel, and the hyperscaler designed chips grow into the gap, that is a 20-point market share decline projected over 4 years on a market growing 40% annually. Read what that does to Nvidia's pricing power. That is the May 8th briefing. OpenAI shipped Cyber, Anthropic added another supplier, Mythos was less unique than the panic suggested, and Nvidia just lost its first measurable market share point to a hyperscaler chip. 4 stories, 1 thread. The Frontier Lab category is now a financing structure with a model attached. The chip layer beneath it is no longer single vendor. Track the suppliers, they are the new product. For ANN Live, this is AI News Now. Proof, not press releases.